Do you know what's strange? Some of the people who become wealthy 5 years from now look completely broke today. Not because they're bad with money. Not because they don't work hard. But because wealth doesn't usually announce itself with a luxury car. Or a giant house. Or a six-figure bank account. It starts much earlier. Quietly. Almost invisibly. Maybe your checking account is lower than you'd like. Maybe every payday feels like it disappears before you even have time to enjoy it. Rent keeps going up. Groceries somehow cost more every month. Your insurance premium just increased. Your credit card bill seems to have developed a personality of its own. And after paying for everything, you're left wondering, how are people actually getting ahead? It's easy to believe that wealthy people simply earned more, had richer parents, got lucky with Bitcoin, or bought Nvidia before anyone else. But after studying thousands of real millionaires, financial researchers noticed something surprising. Long before these people became wealthy, they behaved differently. Not dramatically. Not publicly. Just differently. The signs were almost impossible to notice. And that's exactly why most people miss them. Because everyone watches the results, while nobody pays attention to the habits creating those results. Here's something fascinating. According to studies from the National Study of Millionaires, most American millionaires didn't inherit their wealth. Most weren't CEOs. Many drove used cars for years. Many lived in ordinary neighborhoods. Many never looked rich at all. Which means, wealth isn't something you suddenly become. It's someone you slowly become. Today, I'm going to show you 13 invisible signs that quietly predict whether someone is likely to build serious wealth within the next 5 years. These aren't personality traits. They aren't talents. And they definitely aren't things you need to be born with. They're behaviors. Small choices. Tiny decisions. Repeated over and over. Until one day everyone calls you lucky. So while we're going through these signs, don't ask yourself, am I rich today? Instead ask, do I already think like the person I'll become? Because your future bank account usually follows your current behavior. Not the other way around. I'm Della, and on this channel, we simplify investing, personal finance, and wealth building so you can make smarter financial decisions without needing a finance degree. If that sounds useful, subscribe, and let's dive in. Sign number 1, you care more about your net worth than your paycheck. Imagine 2 coworkers. They both get a raise on Friday. On Monday morning, one shows up with a brand new SUV. The other quietly increases their automatic investment contribution. Now fast forward 5 years. Who do you think is actually wealthier? Most people celebrate income. Future wealthy people celebrate ownership. And there's a massive difference between the two. See? Your paycheck tells you how much you earn. Your net worth tells you how much you keep. That's a completely different game. In America, it's surprisingly common to earn 6 figures and still feel broke. In fact, surveys have shown that a significant share of households making over $100,000 a year still report living paycheck to paycheck. That sounds impossible. Until you realize something. Income solves today's problems. Net worth solves tomorrow's. Think about it this way. If your employer stopped paying you tomorrow, how long could your current assets support your lifestyle? A week? A month? 6 months? 5 years? That's what wealthy people think about. Every dollar they save isn't just money. It's another employee working for them. Every investment becomes another tiny machine producing future income. Eventually, those machines begin doing more work than the person who built them. That's real wealth. Take Marcus. He's a software engineer in Denver. He earns around $115,000 a year. Sounds impressive. But every raise over the past 6 years disappeared into a nicer apartment. New truck payments. Upgraded vacations. And expensive weekends. His salary doubled. His net worth barely moved. Now compare him with Ashley. Ashley teaches middle school in Ohio. She earns considerably less. Every raise she receives, she splits. Half improves her life. The other half buys ownership. Low-cost index funds. Retirement accounts. A health savings account. A taxable brokerage account. She doesn't feel rich. She doesn't look rich. But every month, her assets quietly grow while she sleeps. Here's the interesting part. Neither person feels dramatically different day to day. Marcus enjoys a slightly nicer lifestyle. Ashley enjoys a growing sense of security. But after 5 years, the gap becomes enormous. Because income is temporary. Ownership compounds. Future wealthy people eventually stop asking, "How much did I make this month?" They start asking, "How much of my money is making money?" That one question changes everything. And once your mindset shifts from earning to owning, you've crossed an invisible line that most people never even realize exists. Which brings us to another sign that's surprisingly powerful. And honestly, it's one of the easiest habits to recognize in yourself. Sign number 2, you automatically wait before buying anything expensive. Here's a little experiment. The next time you want something that costs $300, don't buy it today. Wait 72 hours. Seriously. Just wait. You'd be amazed how many purchases quietly disappear. Retailers understand something about human psychology that most shoppers don't. Excitement has an expiration date. That's why flash sales exist. That's why websites show countdown timers. That's why you're constantly told, "Only 2 left in stock." Because urgency shuts down logic. The future wealthy know this. They don't trust excitement. They trust time. Think about the last expensive thing you bought. Maybe it was the newest iPhone, designer sneakers, a gaming console, a fancy espresso machine. Or maybe it was furniture you convinced yourself was an investment. How badly did you want it the day you bought it? Now ask yourself, 6 months later, how often do you even think about it? Exactly. Most spending isn't driven by need. It's driven by emotion. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Our brains naturally place much more value on immediate pleasure than future rewards. Future wealthy people build systems that interrupt that instinct, not because they're cheap, because they know emotional decisions are expensive decisions. Kevin from Phoenix started using a simple rule. Anything over $250 had to wait 3 days. If he still wanted it afterward, he could buy it guilt-free. The first month, he skipped buying a smartwatch, then an expensive grill, then premium golf clubs. Not because he couldn't afford them. Because after waiting, they simply stopped feeling important. By the end of the year, he had invested nearly $5,000 without ever feeling deprived. That's the part most people miss. Building wealth isn't always about making more money. Sometimes, it's just about giving yourself enough time to make smarter decisions with the money you already have. Delayed gratification isn't punishment. It's clarity. When excitement fades, logic gets a chance to speak. And logic usually makes much better financial decisions. Now, once you stop letting emotions control your purchases, something interesting begins to happen. You start noticing another invisible habit. One that's even more powerful than spending less. Because it changes the way you see every dollar you own. Sign number 3, you compare every purchase to an investment. Something changes when you're on the path to building wealth. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" And start asking, "What am I giving up to buy this?" That's a powerful shift, because every dollar has 2 jobs. It can buy something today, or buy freedom tomorrow. Imagine you're about to spend $1,000 on the latest phone. Future wealthy people don't just see a phone. They see what that $1,000 could become if invested in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund over the next 20 or 30 years. Suddenly, spending becomes a trade-off, not an impulse. This doesn't mean never enjoying life. It means understanding the opportunity cost behind every purchase. When you naturally think this way, you're no longer acting like a consumer. You're thinking like an owner. And that's a habit that quietly builds wealth. Sign number 4, you don't let lifestyle creep steal your raises. Getting a raise feels amazing. Until 3 months later. And somehow you're broke again. Sound familiar? It's called lifestyle creep. As income rises, expenses quietly rise with it. A nicer apartment, a newer car, more dining out, better vacations. Soon, your bigger paycheck feels exactly like the old one. Future wealthy people break this cycle. When they get a raise, they increase their investments before increasing their lifestyle. Even directing just half of every raise toward investing can dramatically grow your wealth over time. The goal isn't to live poorly. It's to make sure your income grows faster than your spending. That's how the gap between earning and wealth keeps getting wider. Sign number 5, you think in years, not paychecks. Most people plan until next Friday. Future wealthy people plan until the next decade. They understand that real wealth rarely happens overnight. It's built through hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated consistently. Instead of chasing quick wins, they trust compound growth. Instead of asking, How much can I make this month? They ask. Where could this decision put me 5 years from now? That long-term thinking changes everything. Because when you stop chasing fast money, you give slow money enough time to become big money. And that's where the next invisible sign separates almost everyone else. Sign number 6, you treat market drops as opportunities, not disasters. Most people panic when the stock market falls. Future wealthy people pay attention. Why? Because they know a market downturn doesn't mean businesses suddenly stopped creating value. It simply means great companies are temporarily selling at lower prices. Think about it. When your favorite store has a 30% sale, you're excited. But when the stock market goes on sale, people run away. That's backwards. Future wealthy investors keep buying through the ups and downs because they understand one simple truth. The market has recovered from every major crash in US history. Patience, not panic, is what builds long-term wealth. Sign number 7, you take advantage of free money. If your employer offers a 401k match, and you're not contributing enough to get the full match, you're literally walking away from part of your paycheck. Imagine your boss offered you a raise, and you said, no thanks. That's exactly what happens when you ignore the employer match. Future wealthy people always grab the free money first. Only after that do they focus on taxable investments or other financial goals. It's one of the easiest wins in personal finance. Sign number 8, you stop trying to get rich quickly. One of the biggest mindset shifts happens when you stop chasing shortcuts. No more meme stocks. No more guaranteed crypto coins. No more get-rich-quick schemes from social media. Instead, you build wealth slowly. Broad market index funds. Consistent investing. Dollar cost averaging. Year after year. It may not be exciting, but boring investing has created far more millionaires than exciting investing ever has. The goal isn't to impress people. The goal is to reach financial freedom. Sign number 9, high-interest debt makes you uncomfortable. Future wealthy people don't treat credit card debt as normal. They treat it like a financial emergency. Why? Because earning 8 to 10% in the stock market while paying over 20% in credit card interest is like trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. The math simply doesn't work. Before trying to build wealth aggressively, they eliminate the biggest obstacle slowing them down. Less interest paid means more money invested. And more money invested means faster wealth creation. Sign number 10, you focus on increasing your income, not just cutting expenses. There's only so much you can save, but there's almost no limit to how much you can earn. Future wealthy people understand this. Yes, they budget wisely, but they also invest in skills. They negotiate raises, learn new technologies, build side businesses, change careers when better opportunities appear. Because while saving $100 each month helps, earning an extra $1,000 every month changes your entire financial future. Smart budgeting protects your money. Higher income multiplies it. And when you combine both, that's when real wealth starts to accelerate. Sign number 11, you invest in yourself before you invest in anything else. Here's a question. If someone took away every dollar in your investment account tomorrow, what would you still have left? Your skills, your experience, your ability to earn. And that's why future wealthy people never stop investing in themselves. They know the stock market can go up and down, but the right skill can increase their income for decades. Maybe it's learning AI tools that make you more productive at work. Maybe it's earning a certification that qualifies you for a promotion. Maybe it's becoming better at sales, public speaking, coding, project management, or learning how to negotiate your salary. These aren't expenses. They're investments with some of the highest returns you'll ever earn. Imagine spending $1,500 on a certification that helps you land a job paying $15,000 more every year. That's a return no mutual fund can consistently match. Future wealthy people understand that the greatest asset on their balance sheet isn't their house or their retirement account. It's themselves. Because every dollar earned from improving your skills can later be invested, creating a cycle where higher income produces larger investments. And larger investments create even more wealth. The richest investment portfolio in the world means very little if your income never grows. That's why they never stop learning. Sign number 12, you build systems instead of depending on motivation. Let's be honest. Motivation is unreliable. Some Mondays you feel unstoppable. Other Fridays, you just want takeout and a movie. If your financial success depends on how motivated you feel, you're making life much harder than it needs to be. Future wealthy people don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems. Their paycheck arrives. And before they even think about spending, money automatically moves into a 401k, a Roth IRA, a brokerage account, or a high-yield savings account. Bills are automated. Investments are automated. Emergency fund contributions are automated. Because they understand something powerful. Every financial decision you eliminate is one less chance to make a bad one. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning debating whether you should do it. It's automatic. That's exactly how saving and investing should feel. The less your financial future depends on daily willpower, the more likely you'll succeed. Wealth isn't built by making one perfect decision. It's built by making one good decision and letting it repeat automatically for years. The system does the heavy lifting. You simply stay out of its way. Sign number 13, you started before you felt ready. This is the invisible sign that matters more than all the others combined. Because without this one, none of the others ever happen. Most people spend years waiting. Waiting until they make more money. Waiting until inflation comes down. Waiting until the market feels safer. Waiting until they finally understand investing. Waiting for the perfect time. But here's the truth. There has never been a perfect time to invest. The people who built wealth weren't fearless. They simply started before they felt confident. Their first investment wasn't thousands of dollars. Sometimes it was just $50. Sometimes it was buying one share of an index fund. Sometimes it was opening a Roth IRA and contributing whatever they could afford. It wasn't the amount that changed their future. It was starting the clock. Because compounding only works when time is on your side. Every year you wait is 1 year your money never gets the chance to grow. Future wealthy people understand something that most people learn far too late. Small amounts invested consistently will almost always beat large amounts invested inconsistently. Perfection is expensive. Action is profitable. You don't need to know everything about investing before you begin. You don't wait until you're in shape before joining the gym. And you don't need a finance degree before buying your first diversified index fund. You learn by doing. You improve as you go. Every experienced investor was once a beginner. The only difference is they didn't stay one. Conclusion. So let me ask you one final question. 5 years from today, where do you think you'll be financially? Most people answer that question by thinking about their salary. Future wealthy people answer it by thinking about their habits. Because salary can disappear. A job can disappear. The economy can change. Markets will rise. Markets will fall. But habits, those stay with you. If today you recognized yourself in even a handful of these invisible signs, you're probably much closer to wealth than your bank account suggests. Maybe you're already investing consistently. Maybe you've stopped trying to impress people with expensive purchases. Maybe you're building skills that will increase your income. Maybe you've learned to think long-term instead of chasing quick money. Those aren't small things. They're the exact behaviors that quietly separate people who stay stuck from people who become financially free. Remember, wealth doesn't suddenly appear one morning. It compounds, quietly, month after month, year after year, long before anyone notices the results. The fancy car is visible. The investment contributions that bought it weren't. The $1 million portfolio is visible. The 20 years of consistent investing behind it weren't. Financial freedom isn't built through one life-changing decision. It's built through hundreds of ordinary decisions that almost nobody sees. So don't measure your progress by today's bank balance. Measure it by today's habits. Because if your habits are moving in the right direction, your money eventually will too. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe because every week we break down investing, personal finance, and wealth building into simple, practical lessons anyone can understand. Thanks for watching. I'm Della, and I'll see you in the next video.